Stephen Browning. Tēnā Mr Browning.
Tēnā thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to be speaking on the food bill. It's certainly had a long history, and I've been involved with it from its gestation, as the previous speaker termed it. Something like 10 years ago, I was on the Food Safety Authority's Consumer Forum when it was being introduced then. And the Food Safety Authority, under Andrew Mackenzie and some other long-standing staff there, were putting it to us as to what they wanted to do to modernise the Food Act. And the primary part of that was admirable. It was to get a risk-based approach to food safety, and there's some very good aspects in the bill around that. However, the bill does go much further and has to go further and must have some variations from just the risk-based approach to food safety. I agree with the previous speaker that it has been a loss to have the New Zealand Food Safety Authority disappeared into the Ministry of Primary Industries and effectively out of sight for so many people. When I was on that consumer forum as spokesperson for Soil and Health Association, we were concerned even then at the lack of independence that we saw in that Food Safety Authority and its absolute trade focus, as opposed to enough emphasis on the food safety of regular New Zealanders. But that has deteriorated by going back into Ministry of Primary Industries. And in time, certainly the Green Party wants to see the Food Safety Authority be pulled back out of MPI and be made to be even more independent than it suggested it was. So when I came in as a Member of Parliament in November 2011, there had been a very vigilant community watch on the progression of the food bill, and there was huge concern. Some of it seemed to be misguided, but it certainly was not all misguided. There were mistakes in the bill, and there was certainly room for improvement. So that summer of 2011-12, when I probably should have been having a deep breath before Parliament started in February, I was bombarded with emails of people with serious concern, and I did my best to follow through with them since. In fact, when we had 500 odd submissions to this second approach to the Select Committee with the food bill, and we did hear 19 of them, some of them were seen as representative of much greater groups, but there were some that still wanted to be heard, and I met with 9 of the 10 of those to make sure that their voice was heard. There has been big concern, and I'm very pleased to see that at this point the Green Party will be voting for the food bill because of the significant changes that we've been able to have through good negotiation and discussion. And I agree with Shane Ardern that the officials certainly worked hard, having to accept and listen to our changes and our suggestions. And the ministers, successive ministers, Kate Wilkinson, I met with her on it, and she listened well, and we discussed a number of things. I was concerned at one change she wasn't going to make, and it was good that in the following minister we managed to get some breakthrough. But between the two ministers, Kate Wilkinson and Nikki Kay, we have had some significant changes. So one of them, that genetic modification that had been removed from the bill the first time round at the Select Committee, has been reinstated into the food bill as a food safety issue, and it seriously is a food safety issue, and I'll address that further at some stage. that food safety is now the overriding principle of the bill instead of just one of the factors to be considered, because it seriously is a strongly trade-focused bill. But the fact that food safety is now the overriding principle, we feel that this really helps in terms of protecting our sovereignty, because sovereignty and the aspect of having international regulation landed onto New Zealand consumers and producers without coming past Parliament, for example, that was a major concern for many of the submitters. And one way of addressing that is ensuring that food safety has primacy. So it was great to see that change. So, however, this bill is certainly just not about exports and high volume trade. In saying that, we do need to recognise that agriculture is 56.4% of our export value, and certainly we need to make sure that food safety of those exports is held in absolute high regard and internationally, and that is also obviously a strong part of the bill. But it's not just about those. This also covers the sale, swapping, gifting of food, and we've achieved some changes to ensure that there is an expectation that the regulators, the Minister, MPI, the local territorial authorities and other administrators will be exempting from unnecessary bureaucracy the smaller producers who may have otherwise been caught with the bill. We've made sure that that expectation is in the report from the Select Committee, and the Minister has also agreed with me to meet and to look at how these exemptions might be done in the future to make sure that there's not a ridiculous amount of bureaucracy on people who could not even afford realistically to pay the maybe $150 to the local territorial authority. You see, there are people that may only sell a few garnishes. They may have some trees that come ripe once a year. For a couple of weeks they're picking apricots or apples or whatever they're doing, and they sell at the gate, but they also have a little bit of surplus and they want to sell down at the corner dairy, maybe the organic store, maybe to a restaurateur. The bill theoretically suggests that, well, it's not theoretical, the bill actually catches them and says that they would have to go into one of the food plans and be audited and pay that basic sort of fee, a bit over $100. But if they're only selling a few $100, maybe even a couple of thousand, that is clearly mischief and nonsensical. And as I put to the Minister, as I put to the Select Committee, friends and others, our lives would be the lesser for it if we actually stalled people that supply those fantastic garnishes, those extra herbs and novel sort of salad ingredients that actually make our restaurant experiences, our farmers market experiences somewhat more. So that was a very important aspect to have sorted out in the bill. Right back in 2011, this are the sort of things that people were concerned about. That home gardeners who bartered or swapped food, sold food directly to consumers and small growers, that they felt they were going to be wrapped up in the bill. And as I say, they would have been. Barter was a big issue. And of course, barter is a sale, and that's been sorted out, and there's been some major achievements there. I'll also be introducing a supplementary order paper to do with one aspect of the bill that wasn't caught up, and that's regarding country of origin labelling as well. And it's really good to see the Labour Party, after a long, long time, has come and acknowledged and seen that the international call is for country of origin labelling, and New Zealand is one of the outliers from that. And my supplementary order paper will be pointing out that single component foods must have country of origin requirements, but they also that any labelling laws and existing labelling laws must require regular monitoring and enforcement. And we do need that to be enshrined in this legislation. And I use as an example that the genetically engineered labelling has not been enforced for more than 10 years. But thank you, Mr. Speaker. We look forward to the committee stages of this bill, and we've certainly got through this great time of a bill a lot to go through. Thank you.
I call the honourable member Colin King.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to take a call during the second reading of the food bill, and in doing so, it